Hello guys, welcome back to our course of web development using ChatGPT, Ruby on Rails and React. In the last lecture, we implemented the delete functionality for deleting an existing employee in our React part. Now in this lecture, we will work on showing the validation error messages on the React form. For example, what is happening right now that if you go to the create new employee button and you click it, you can see the empty form. Okay, and if you submit the form, okay, and then go to the server where the API is running, I mean where the Rails server is running, then you can see that it is returning completed 422 unprocessable LTT. That means there is something went wrong, so that's why the information is not being saved into the database. And we can see that here nothing happens, we can still see the empty form. Okay, and this is what something we need to get rid of, because this is not a good user experience. Because right now you can see here that user submitted the form, but he do not have any idea that what he did wrong, so that's why the form is not being submitted. Okay, and that's why he is not directed onto the new form. Okay, so now what we need to do in this lecture, that we will display the validation error messages here. Okay, and validation error messages, you can first go to the API part. So open the your Rails API in the project directory, and here you can see that what we are doing, that we are just returning rendered JSON employee.errors if employee is not saved successfully. Okay, and now we need to display these errors on the React form. Okay, so just switch to the React form, and what we need to do, so first open your React project into the project in some text editor. Okay, so now we need to, here you can see that we just set it the form data and set form data using use state, and similarly we need to use the array for the validation errors here. Okay, so how we can do that, just to use the same syntax here. So const, and then here you can use errors, sorry, and then set errors. Okay, and use state here, use state and use it as an empty array. Okay, because we are getting all the array, all the validation error messages into the array. Okay, and now we need to change our handle submit. Okay, for example, here you can see that what we are doing, if the form submitted successfully, that we are sending request to the API, and if the create operation performs successfully, we are setting our forms to the empty form. Okay, now we need to do something into the catch part. Okay, here we need to catch the errors that we get from the server, or that we get from, or that is returned by the API. Okay, so what we need to do here, that first you need to check here, in the catch block you need to add if else. Okay, so if error dot response. Okay, I mean if error is coming with a response, and error dot response dot data. Okay, so here you can see that when response come with the data, so you are logging that response. So similarly error response also come with the data. Okay, so if error dot response present and error dot response dot data dot present, then what we need to do here, we need to set the error response data into the set errors, just like we set the form data. Okay, so here what we need to do, sorry, we just need to use set errors, and then what we need to set here, error dot response dot data, error dot response dot data. Okay, and if you wish, you can add a console dot log for errors, sorry, console for errors. Okay, else you can see, you can simply represent your error. Okay, now what we need to do, that we need to pass the this error object to the form component. Okay, so you can see that this is the new form component, but we need to display the error into the form, which is another component. Okay, so what we need to do here, just like we are passing these states like form data, form title, handle submit, handle change, and handle, sorry, submit button title, we need to pass the errors object here as well. So we can pass errors equal to, then you can pass errors. Okay, so this is the form. Here you can see that this is the errors that you are passing to the employee form component. Okay. Here, however, if you wish, you can use naming different naming like employee errors and set employee errors. But I'm using errors here simply, so I'm just passing this errors object to the employee form now. Okay, and now what you need to do, that you need to access the errors here or errors state here. Okay, so we access the error state, and now if you go to the browser, you can see that this browser has still the form. And now just open the inspect. Okay, and just remove it. And now what you need to do, you need to click on the create employee button. Okay, so here you can see that if you go to the network tab and you click on this employees, you can see that in the responses you can see the error messages like first name can't be blank, last name can't be blank, email can't be blank, and is invalid, and so on. Okay, now we need to display these errors into our React form. Okay, so let's go to the form component, and here at the below of every input field, I mean below every input field, what you need to do, you need to iterate through the errors. So just add the curly braces here, and what we will do, that if errors, I mean don't need to use the if error, but errors and errors dot, since this is for the first name, so we will check that whether the errors for the first name attributes are present or not. Okay, so errors dot first name. Okay, and if it presents, so now we will need to map through all the errors related to the first name. Okay, however there could be only one error or there could be no error. Okay, so that's why we are making these checks. Okay, so errors dot first name, and then you need to use map, and then iterate through this map error. Okay, and then here what you need to do, sorry, I just made one mistake here. Sorry, you need to add another parenthesis here. Okay, and in this block, now what you need to do, you need to display your error messages. Okay, so you can use some span tag or p tag if you wish, whatever you I mean it's your choice that in which element you want to display your error. So I'm using the span tag here. Span, then use key element. Okay, and we already know that why we need the key here. So, okay, so we can add error as the key. Okay, key, and then class name. Here you can use, let's say, text danger. Okay, and in the text danger, then you need to place your error. Okay, error, and then now close the span tag. Okay, so this is how you can display error below your first name attribute. So let's try with the first name attribute, that if we submit the empty form, whether we are saying error or not on the form for the first name. Okay, so now go to the browser and refresh your page. Okay, and then click on create employee. Okay, so here you can see that now we are getting error for the first name, that it can't be blank. So similarly you can add errors for your other attributes, like let's say here last name. So after this input field, you can use last name. Okay, and then for the email as well, you can do, let's say, email, and then for contact number, and same for the address, same for the pin code, and same for the city and state. State, and then date of hiring and date of birth, and here for date of hiring. Okay, save it now, and now refresh the page. Here you can see that we have error for all the attributes here, like first name can't be blank, last name can't be blank, email can't be blank and is invalid, can't be blank and should be 10 digits, date of birth can't be blank, city can't be, date of hiring can't be blank. However, we do not have validations for address, pin code, city, and state, I'm sure. So now if you go to the Rails part and check the employee model, then you will see that we might not have errors for the address, city, and pin code. Okay, so if you want to display the error for city, state, address, and pin code, you can add those attributes as a validation, required validation here. And if you don't want, you can keep them. But our purpose was fulfilled here, that we want to display the error messages, and we did that. Okay, and we just did it for new component. If you wish, you can do the same thing for your edit employee component as well, and just pass the error component to the new form. Okay, that will be the similar process, and I'm leaving this task up to you. Okay, so you can do that. But our purpose for displaying the validation errors on the form has been completed. Okay, so now this is a good user experience. In the next lecture, we will see another important topic, that sometimes you see that if there is a error, validation error message, or there is an error, the input field also has some red background. Okay, so we will see that how we can do that using React. Okay, so meanwhile, that's all for this lecture. Try this lecture at your end, and we will meet into the next lecture. Till then, tata, goodbye, take care, and stay safe.